got some new paper. This stuff, cheap stuff. Apparently, though, it's suitable for professional use. I don't know what I'm doing with it then. It's grey. It's grey. I can only describe it as grey. Oh, look at the different colour. Grey, which is I don't know. I don't know if this is because this is the cream or that's a good thing or bad thing. Anyway, we'll see what it's like. I did a lesson with it yesterday, and it was all right. It was all right. It was a little bit, you know, some papers, smoother papers, make the charcoal appear greyer, and just, you know, it's just whereas you don't reach dark, you know, true darks and things. So I'm thinking about this. This question of getting better. Things have been popping up on my I don't know if it was YouTube or it was I'm drawing this one by the way. I don't know if it was YouTube or it was what's that one that says memories, that one, whatever that was. It might be Facebook. Anyway, and I was looking at what I'd done a year ago, or I don't remember if it was 3 years ago or something like that. And that question, you know, am I getting any better? And I can't be objective about that. I can't. It's better as in what way? That's the thing. Better at copying faces. Better at using the medium. Better than someone else. that's the worst one, isn't it? I'm better than somebody else. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I think they are, and a friend of mine did a video on how to get better. You know what I mean? Define better than someone else, better at it, better at the accuracy thing. I don't know, but it's a funny thing that, because we were thinking about this, talking about, me and the lads were talking about the people that do it, the people that do this on a regular basis, and probably made it a career or something like that, or even just anybody who paints, who not necessarily makes portraits, but does, create more commercial, shall we say, kind of work. And all of it seems to be driven by just getting better and better at doing this one thing. I think I can't get away from when David Bailey said about the sergeant thing, and he said just because you can paint doesn't mean you're an artist. And he was referring to the Lily Little Rose thing, and said it would make a great Christmas card. And and sergeant aficionados would be issuing death threats on him for saying that. You know what I mean? It's like, how dare you question or make a remark like that, and it just tickled me that somebody could be so objective, which is what he was doing. He was just saying fact. This is how I see it. And then it got me thinking about this being better thing, and everybody's driven by this desire to just get better and better and better at manipulating paint or whatever, using paint in a particular way, and their progress is determined by that better use of the medium. For a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, it is about using the medium better. But the true intent of doing it should stay the same, shouldn't it? It should be the same drive and the same creative force that's being manifest. It may well be more. I've just seen another course thing where they'd shown what they were like 10 years ago and what they're like now, and I can't see any difference. I can see a technical difference, but it's still a face that this person had drawn, and it was still as comic in a way. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it was still as a style of, comic style. And but it was just, the second one was just 10 years later, just well done. It was just executed better, although quite from a point of view of somebody that would say those kind of things, the guys that can really paint, the Andrew Tishel and people like that who know how to use the medium. This person hadn't really progressed that much to become a pastiche of an oil painting, But this is the thing. This is the better thing. I think if it was ever you're trying to get better, I think that can be confusing. I think that can be the problem, trying to get better. Because you're trying, it'll trigger assessment, and comparison, and all kinds of. That's in the last phase of it. Initially, the better thing might trigger other things. You can trigger certain decisions that you would make because you think that decision might make you better. So I don't know. I think wanting to get better things is not a good idea. I think it could be the wrong idea. I think doing it with a sort of honest intention is the only way to do this, and however it turns out is how it turns out. But as long as it's got that pure intention. It can't. You see, the thing is that once it has that, it can never be wrong, can it? Even when it's not drawn accurately, or the lines are a bit wobbly, or the use of the medium is not good, or it can never be wrong because it's your personal expression. It's what it is. This is how I see the world. You may not think that I'm skillful enough or whatever, but I don't really care. This is what I feel, and this is how I'm going to respond to how I feel. If that's not meeting your technical expectations, then so be it. I don't really care about that. As I say, it can't be like that, and so I can't impose the concept of better on myself either. I've just got to really focus on what it is that drives me, and let that manifest. If that manifests in a way that offends people, or it doesn't meet someone's standards, then that's their problem, not mine. So as I said, it's the better thing is a strange curse that we've got. It's you can see it. You can see how to get better. Is all these courses that are out there now. Oh, how to get better at doing this, how to get better at doing that. And some of them get close. Some of them talk about finding your style, for instance. Although I think that in itself, someone says that to you, you want to run a mile. But they do get close. There's one that I saw the other day that talks about being fearless, and that was part of my workshop, and I talk about the fearless mark making all the time. But but when it came down to it, it was just simply getting good at doing a certain thing, so that you were confident in that when you made the marks, it would be right. I think the thing is, this is the other side to it as well, is that the fearless comes from not caring. Literally, you have nothing to fear from doing this at all. You're not going to die doing it. That's the thing. It's not like jumping out of a plane. So you cannot fear anything. People fear not doing it right. Now that's a terrible thing. That is how that has become a thing. I have no idea. Well, I know why, because people are so indoctrinated that it has to be a certain way, and they fear they won't be able to do it that way. So, or be as good as someone. That's the other thing. Or be as good as somebody else, and that's the way the fear is coming from. The fear is coming from this indoctrination of you must be as good as this person. You must do it their way. It's back to this being better thing, isn't it? So, as I said, I'm a bit skeptical of the word better. I think it's magnified by things like the game show, the way they're all trying to be better and judged to be better. It's a very difficult thing that to do. I mean, I'd be ashamed if I was a judge on one of those kind of shows, that I was saying one person's creative expression was better than another's. That's not fair to all the artists, really. That gives it gives us all a very, it leaves us a bad taste, really. I think for me, I think that's the thing. I think all, and there's going to be people. Oh well, you need competition, you get better, and all this. I know. But these are not. People say things like that. Don't really understand what it is to be creative. They just think, as I said, they just think it's a practical, skillful thing that you just learn to do it, and you spend 50 years doing it, but as I said, the word better for me is it's almost like a curse. I mean, that's probably why when I look at the stuff that I do, in kind of hindsight, I often see things that at the time I didn't think were worthy, were effective, but still save them nevertheless. And when seeing them later, it's often those pieces that I like the most, because they've got they've got an element of a risk or an honesty about them. It feels like I was in conversation with the the subject. I feel that because it's at that point that when you talk to somebody and you just can't connect, and you can't equate their position. And you're trying to think of it. I mean, we're talking about conversation. We're not talking about the usual sort of shouting at each other kind of thing. But when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're trying to connect and trying to understand, and that's when it's most likely, in terms of making a portrait, it's most likely to be not incorrect, but less accurate. But in that struggle to connect, to communicate with that person, something happens that's real. It may well be that it's not, the eyes aren't quite right or whatever, but that doesn't really matter. But there is some kind of reality in this intense communication. I think that's what it is. And in those times when that happens, when I'm really trying to see what I see and feel what I see, and trying to, not wanting to put an outline around things, but just trying to connect with something, it's in those times I think that I'm most effective, or the process is most effective. It's heightened because it's more intense, because I'm trying even more to connect with the subject. I think that's probably what it is. It's heightened because of that. When I'm coasting, it's like, I'm going to just, sort of just go along with what I see. It's not as effective. I have this thing that, it didn't quite work out because I wasn't looking hard enough. No, it didn't quite work out because I wasn't connecting well enough. that's why it didn't work out. So yeah, there is a looking thing, you know, the seeing observation thing, but there is this connection thing, which has to be the foundation of the observation. So whilst I'm measuring and comparing and looking for relationships, at the same time I'm feeling it at the same time. But if it just becomes about the observation, then I end up colouring in. I end up doing things that are just like whatever anybody else does, and that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do that. I want to, because that'll just be another colouring in exercise, and just as anybody else does, it'll be the same. You know, it'll be the same kind of outcome. But in terms of getting better, I just want to get better at connecting with people. That's what I want to get. If anything, if I want to use the word, that's what I'm going to say. But I don't want to use the word really. But if anything, it's the other side to the word better that concerns me. This better than, or better, you know, getting better, and just measuring yourself in some kind of scale of getting better. As I say, those are the areas that I think are the problem areas for me. I think they're probably the areas that drove me away from doing this. You know, because the only way I knew if I was getting better or not was by comparison, and you know that's kind of where all of us fall down. As soon as you judge yourself against something else, a standard or someone else, then all of a sudden the game changes. You know, it becomes a different thing. It's no longer art. It's a learning to do something skillfully or whatever, which is when, you know, people start using the words like masters and things. But yeah, paper's all right. It's I tell you what it is about the paper. You know, I've talked about this before. Because of the greyness of it, it has. I've got a different kind of tonal. I've got to have a different kind of tonal approach to it because of the greyness of it. So I'm gonna struggle with, you know, the densities of things. You know, on this one, this is on the other paper. You see all that there? I don't have that luxury on this. I have greys. I have some of this, but it's never going to be this kind of bright and this kind of intense. It's going to be lots of greys. So I've got to then basically move the scale, if you like, of greyness. This is when I talk about tonal balance. It's not about achieving tones. I can't achieve the density that's in that woman's hair there. I can't achieve that density. But what I can do is achieve the relativity of those tones. That's what I want to be able to do. And so I've got to do that when things like this change, when the paper changes the way that the charcoal's tonal capacities work. So I've got to still create the same feeling of form, but I've got to do it with a different grayscale, a different scale of tone. But that's just how it works. I mean, I was thinking about this drawing on with different things, because the getting better thing was playing on my mind yesterday. I was thinking about, you know, that generally is the goal for people. I just want to get better at using oil paints, and that's my trajectory. I'm going to get better at it. But that thing of just and getting really good at doing one thing, you know, I'm really good at oil painting or whatever, you know, family groups or whatever, and that one thing becomes all they are. I'm not sure that denotes an artist just because they've learned to use one medium really well, and that's all they do. And somehow that makes them an artist. It's back to the what David Bailey said, and that for me, I would say if I can't use more than one medium and still achieve what I want to achieve, this is not about being able to do great oil paintings and then a job of a hat working watercolor. It's not about those things. The mediums that we choose to use are just more to do with convenience than they are to do with preference. Certainly from my point of view, it's convenient because I don't have an oil, so it's convenient because I don't have watercolors or watercolor paper or decent brushes and things. So it's a practical convenience that I use it, but it doesn't matter because all I want to do is do this, capture a persona, drawing faces. So it won't matter what medium, or it shouldn't matter what medium I use. But this generally is the problem. I think people just think that their aim is as much as anything to get better at using the medium, and that is and for me is another obstacle, because I think that's probably the one thing that most people struggle with. I mean, they're also, I mean, they're probably, it's the same when they're looking at doing faces and anatomy and figures and all that kind of thing. It's the same thing. They want to get better at drawing faces with using anatomy or a method or whatever. But it's the fact that the medium, the method is their improvement. It's a measure of their improvement, not whether or not they were able to capture the essence more effectively. It's their improvement is measured in terms of how well they can use the medium. That's the thing. So their trajectory is that get better at using the medium. And then back to this lady that was showing her progress. She couldn't draw any better. And when I'm talking about drawing, I'm talking about observation. I'm not just talking about the mark making aspect of it. But she wasn't any better at drawing 10 years later. She was just better at colouring in 10 years later. And that's the thing. I think that's the thing. And I'm not, from my point of view, I'm very wary of the medium side of things because of, as I said before, because of my history. So I'm very wary of medium dependency. So it's not the medium that makes what I do good. This is what I say. It's me that makes it good. The medium, if I can get the medium to do what I want it to do, fine. But I'm not going to spend forever learning to use particular mediums and learning the mechanics of these mediums before. I mean, you can still do it. Nothing wrong with it, but don't say that it's the medium that makes me what I am. It's my creative presence, my creative ability, my creative soul that makes me what I am, not the medium. Anyway, this is, as I say, they're not bad. This paper, not bad. There's a kind of a because of the grayness of it, and I'm having to commit to working with the grayness, and accept it works in a certain way. There is a different level of concentration required in it. It's not going to be, it can't be the early mark thing, because what happens with this is that the early marks, which a lot of these are early marks, the early marks really are the driver behind it. The early marks on this, because of its grayness, as you can see, the early marks on this are not that significant. They're not going to be the right density. There might be times, it depends on how I'm going to, evolve the portrait, the drawing. But they aren't as significant, shall we say? And it's probably because of the fact that it doesn't flow that well. It doesn't flow immediately to the density that things should be. So if I get to the density quick on the beard, if I get to that density quick, I don't have to do any more work with it, do I? So it's it's a different. It feels completely different, which is interesting because it's like I say, adapting to the medium, and in this case, it's the same medium, but I'm still adapting because of the nature of the components within the process. But it's interesting how that the adaptation side of it focuses your mind. I mean, I'm just as my intent is just the same. It doesn't change, but because of the medium's difference that I've been used to, to what I've been used to, I have to take on board what it's doing and adapt accordingly. I think that's probably another one of those reasons why you shouldn't really be medium dependent, because I think I don't know if the adaptation will bring out other qualities, and it probably will. It will probably bring out a different way of working, or a different interpretation. Anyway, as I said, the getting better thing is I think you got to think twice before you start to decide on how you want to get better, and if you want to get better, and on whether or not it's a part of your criteria to get better. I think if it is part of your criteria, which is as I said before, the usual sort of, I just want to get better at this and that, and that's what I'm going to spend the rest of my days doing, then there is a kind of process you've got to embrace. Practical stuff. Anyway, as I say, I'm done with this, and it's okay. It's not bad. The paper's not bad. I'm going to do a few more with it, because I suspect it will be a little bit of an adjustment for me to do this. So I'm going to do a few more in a minute, and then we'll see how it works. See how I develop with it. If I get any better. Right, I'll love you and leave you. I'll catch you in a bit.